Hi everybody, welcome to the 7th Free Will North podcast. We're currently in a slightly different location today. We have commandeered the spare shipping container that is at Free Will North just now, so we have an uninterrupted conversation. I'm sitting here with Gemma. Hello Gemma.
Hi Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Good. It's a nice day for it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day today.
Yeah. We're kind of stuck inside though. Like, we tried to kind of put the door open, but there's too much noise outside, so we're just keeping ourselves indoors just now. Gemma, what have you been up to?
Not much. Been working from home, so stuck in the kitchen most days. But it's bank holiday Friday today, and off on Monday as well. So, I cycled here, enjoying the weather, and hopefully get out and about as much as I can until Tuesday comes round.
Yeah. What are you doing with yourself these days? What are you working as?
I work with Local Energy Scotland. It's a Scottish Government fund for community renewable energy schemes. And I'm usually based in Ayr at the Energy Agency. But of course, we're just working from home at the moment.
How's working from home treating you?
Well, since I usually travel to Ayr every day, it's actually okay.
Yeah, massive benefit.
Yeah, the bit I miss the most is getting out and meeting people, seeing all the different community groups and all the different sites and stuff.
Yeah, the interaction's missing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereabouts in the area are you based?
It's called the Auchincruive Estate.
Right.
It's at the Energy Agency, and it's kind of just outside of Ayr, between Ayr and Prestwick.
The reason I ask is I lived in Ayr and Prestwick for 7 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lived in a place called Moncton, which is just outside Prestwick. But yeah, I know the place pretty well. So we're talking to Gemma today. A lot of you will probably know her. I've just met her really for the first time last couple of days, but a lot of you will have known and recognise her from being around Free Will North, because you were a volunteer.
Yeah, I'm here only on Sundays because I'm working Monday to Friday. Mm-hmm. Usually when it's not COVID restrictions, every second Sunday. But when COVID's been around, I've just been doing it every Sunday because it's kind of the nicest thing to do with your time when you're a bit more restricted.
I imagine as well. No, that's a really good point. I think during the tier system, because of the setup here, it basically meant that Free Will North was able to keep going, obviously at a limited capacity, but they were able to keep going right to the last gasp because it's all outside.
Yeah.
All naturally quite distant anyway. So
yeah,
I think it's quite interesting that it's able to. I think it kind of highlights the kind of the health and environmental benefits, the fact that it can still function to the last gasp during kind of quite tough times.
Yeah, and you can see everyone's just super excited to come out to the track, and whenever they can, just get down and get outside, and all the kids are raring to get back on the bikes.
Totally. Because I know we posted at the start of last week, just telling people that we're going to reopen again, and reopen again on Monday, obviously at a limited capacity, and the proverbial phone has been off the hook since then. I say phone, I don't think anyone phones in these days. It's all been Facebook messengers. And
I heard Norman on the phone earlier.
Oh yeah?
A couple of times taking bookings already.
Yeah. So it's good to see that. It's obviously people have been pretty desperate to get back to it. Sorry. So how long have you been? You're still volunteering just now, aren't you? Yeah. How long have you been doing it for?
Been doing it for about 2 years now. So I think I started in about February 2019. And that's when I'd moved back to Glasgow. So I'd lived here before and moved around quite a lot, and came back and was just looking to get involved in something, particularly something to do with cycling. So I've really enjoyed it. It's flown by. It's not felt like 2 years. I had to think about it before doing this podcast.
Where were you living before Glasgow? Or were you...
Directly before Glasgow, I was in London.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I actually volunteered with the Camden Society in London, and they did something similar to this in Regent's Park.
Right.
They had containers full of lots of different and adapted bikes, and we'd take groups out just on a wee loop around Regent's Park. And I just really enjoyed doing that. And we had walking groups as well, so it was kind of the same people every week went out and walked around different areas of London. So that motivated me to get involved in.
So you're kind of well versed in kind of like volunteering for a cycle society. Kind of.
I guess so, yeah. But actually, my previous job in London was a volunteer coordinator.
Okay.
And then before that, I was a volunteering assistant at Bristol Student Union. So kind of just really passionate about volunteering in general.
Yeah.
And I've always done a bit of volunteering on the side.
Seems to be kind of definitely in your blood to kind of do that. That's great.
Must be.
Did you go down to London for work or?
Yeah, so I studied in Glasgow. I did an undergraduate here, and then I did about a year of just working in cafes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a postgrad, and I was kind of struggling to find work in Scotland, so I ended up going down to Bristol.
Right, okay.
And then I ended up going to London, and then the job I'm doing now was something I really wanted to do, and that brought me back to Glasgow.
Nice. You traveled. How was Bristol?
It was interesting, particularly working in the student union. A lot of activism and different things going on, and getting involved in different groups and things. It was really interesting.
How are you in your activism these days?
Not so active, probably.
You're probably like the third or fourth person that I know that's mentioned Bristol. I've got a couple of friends that have moved there of late, and they really enjoy it. Apparently, it's quite like Glasgow.
Yeah, I'd say there's similarities between the two. Yeah.
So, what was your So you said you were doing an HND.
No, I did undergrad and a postgrad.
What were they
Glasgow. What were they on? I did business and geography joint undergrad.
Geography, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then those kind of combined to do a postgrad called Global Sustainable Cities.
Right.
At Strathclyde Uni.
Okay. How were they for you? Did you enjoy them? Were they what you were looking for?
I enjoyed them. They were really tough and hard going, and I worked the whole way through them as well. So it was busy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it led to what I'm doing just now, and all the different influences of getting involved in different volunteering groups as well. So
I think that's a really interesting point. You never really know how irrelevant or kind of how hard it seems at the time. You never really know where these decisions are going to take you.
Yeah, and I only really studied anything I was interested in. It's maybe not the smartest way to do it, but if I'm not into it, I won't do it. So it leads you to different interests and finding things that you enjoy. Yeah,
no, I think a lot of people kind of. I've certainly spoken to a lot of people. I've lost count of how many people I've spoken to who have went to go study something further education, higher education, something that they believe they should be doing or they want to do. And 9 out of 10 times they either drop out because they're hating it, or they get their qualification and never really go back to it, just because that spark isn't there. Because that, like you were saying, that period of study is really hard going and really tough. So I think naturally when you get to that end, some people just want a break. I did the same thing. I was like, kind of like, after I finished studying, I was like, I can't go back to this anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I think to kind of have that, to naturally need that break that you've deserved, but to do, and then to do that, to then have to go back to try and get yourself back into the routine of doing that in something that your heart isn't really in. I can totally understand why people don't go back to it. Yeah. So I think that's great that you've done that you've kind of followed your heart and done what you are passionate about and interested in, because that's what you should be doing. Do you know what I mean? I think more people should be doing that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Regarding your, how was London, by the way?
I absolutely loved London because I don't know what, it's probably not a good thing, but most of my friends live there now. That's where all the jobs are. So I had a really good time exploring the city and hanging out with old school friends. They were all working and living there. And meeting new people through the job and through volunteering as well. There's just so much going on.
Yeah, it's full on.
But it's a bit of a struggle as well. It's big and it's hard.
Yeah. How did you find where were you before London? So you were in Bristol and London.
Yeah. So Glasgow, then Bristol, then London. So in comparison, Bristol and Glasgow are similar feeling of sizes, and then London is just blowing out.
How long did it take you to kind of find your feet, so to speak?
I was fortunate. Well, this was actually my third time trying to live in London.
Right. So have you actually been there 2 times before?
I had. I'm struggling to remember if it was before the Bristol job and living.
Okay.
But it was after the postgrad, and I think after a bit of travelling. And just struggling to find work and not being able to afford to stay, so managed a couple of months and then
back again.
It was too much. Moved back home with the parents and try again.
Were you disappointed to have to come back? Were you when you were down there the first 2 times? Were you quite comfortable being down there? It wasn't a case of it's just too much, I need to go back.
Yeah, I think so, because I had that kind of safety net of friends and good friendship groups.
I think that's key, because I think a lot of people say, and it's not an experience I've had, because I've only ever visited London, I've never lived there or worked there. But a lot of people say that it can be quite lonely, just because of the sheer scale of it. So I think if you have that kind of circle of friends, then that's like, because if you were to go to somewhere, a brand new city, it would take you years and years to kind of find that circle of friends. So being able to do that, I can totally see why that would help.
Yeah.
And remember, me and my wife lived in Melbourne in Australia for a while. Yeah.
I did a year studying abroad in Melbourne in Australia.
Oh, yeah. Australia's great.
Yeah.
Melbourne in particular. Really, really fell in love with Melbourne. But when we were there, we had a couple of friends that were there already. And they became super, super close friends when we went out there. But at that time, when you're that far away from home, like anyone that's, even remotely,
kind of
it's
like
kind of like, you do. And especially if they're kind of from Glasgow and kind of like you've got things in common. So we had a couple of friends over there already. And the same thing, we got really close, and then because they'd lived there longer, they then ultimately had a circle of friends that they had. And so we had kind of like a way in, a kind of shortcut. And they were all, amazing, super lovely people. And so when we were there, we kind of like suddenly found ourselves in this kind of social environment with people that we were really fond of and close to, and this is only after because we were only there for the year, but this is maybe after 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, that's
and
really
so
nice.
It was just we were totally blessed, and it really changed the dynamic of the time we spent there, because it just makes you feel really settled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they know all the good places to go and things to do.
Yeah, you save so much time
rather than the tourist trap places.
yeah, which there are plenty of. Right, so when did you? So you talked about your studies and what you did in terms of volunteering. Did you do anything regarding that during your studying time?
Did I? I think I did. I think maybe one of the first places I volunteered at was with the Big Issue at Trongate.
All right, okay.
And it was just doing some research with them.
Okay.
Surveys and things like that with the Big Issue sellers. And that was before my postgrad. And then following my postgrad, I lived in Lisbon for a little while.
Okay.
And I volunteered. I got interested in community renewable energy in my postgrad, and I got involved in a volunteering group like that in Lisbon. And we also did I can't remember what it was called. we did like a food collection service.
Okay.
So any food that wasn't used from restaurants in the area, we collected it and took it to a hub, and they made it into meals for people that needed it in the city.
Yeah.
So getting involved in those groups was just to kind of like you were saying in Melbourne, get a base in the city and get to know people and get to know the area.
It's a good way to meet people, isn't it? It's a good way to kind of like plug yourself in.
Yeah,
to what's going on.
It's interesting because that was one of the reasons to start volunteering here. Because when I came back to Glasgow, although I'd lived here before, some time had passed and quite a lot of my friends had moved away. Especially friends from university, because they don't come from Glasgow. So coming here, there's like a whole family at Free Will North that you, like you say, plug into, and they're just open and accepting and friendly straight away. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, I was I was chatting to Peter, who does the last podcast, and we were chatting about that as well. And it is, you do get the family vibe because obviously everyone's kind of really, there's obviously a lot of love in the air. There's also kind of like a massive variety of people here as well, like all walks of life, all ages, very much like a family, but they all just work.
Yeah.
They have this kind of common goal. And it's not something I've seen for a long time, but it's great to be part of it. It's great to see it. When did you get the volunteer buzz? Like, how, has it always been there, or was it something that's kind of built up? Or
I think it's definitely built up because I haven't always volunteered. I think maybe following on from studying and getting involved in your kind of interests through volunteering. So yeah, I don't think I've always done it, but I think I now always will.
Yeah. What is it about volunteering that gives you so much drive to do it?
I think it's building those connections and friendships with it's the volunteers and the staff and people using the service kind of all coming together, and feeling kind of plugged into a local base and getting involved locally in things that interest you, for example, cycling.
Yeah. And how long have you been an avid cycler for?
On and off as well. So my whole family are quite into cycling, but mountain biking.
Okay, bit more extreme.
Yeah, as kids we did quite a lot of mountain biking and cycling, and that kind of petered out when I was a teenager and became too cool to do anything.
Too rebellious for bike.
But then when I was living in Glasgow and studying and working, I realised it just made sense to cycle to get to and from university or to and from work. It was the easiest and cheapest and fastest way.
Totally.
So it was my boyfriend that encouraged me to get a bike and get back into cycling, and I don't think I'd been on a road bike until then.
Right.
Probably would have been about 20 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your fella, he's a cyclist as well?
Yeah, he's a bike mechanic. And so is my brother. And my dad also works in bikes, so I'm kind of surrounded by...
What's your dad do?
My dad works in Tyso in Aviemore.
Ah.
And my partner actually works in Tyso in Glasgow. And my brother works at Comrie Croft in Perthshire.
I know Comrie Croft.
Yeah. So he's a bike mechanic and a ride leader, and he does their flow school, so teaching kids bike skills and things like that.
So it sounds to me, Gemma, that kind of like you've bowed down to peer pressure that's coming at you from every
I suppose so, yeah.
That's great you have that kind of wealth of knowledge, and obviously if your bike breaks...
Well, I don't have the knowledge, that's the problem.
I suppose.
I rely on their knowledge.
In terms of the volunteering, like, because it's that thing kind of, but you can volunteer for a charity or you can work for a charity and get paid to do it. What's the kind of benefit of volunteering in your eyes?
The benefit of volunteering is giving back, but it's also kind of selfish in a way. There's positives for you in it, and I'm probably drawn to volunteering for as much my own benefit as benefit of the group you're volunteering with. So
that's a really good way of putting it. It's a really good answer. I think you'd be hard pushed to kind of volunteer and hate it or not want to do it. Do you know what I mean? I think I did a thing a while ago. I volunteered a bit when I lived in Edinburgh, and it was a thing called the plus one mentoring, and you basically take out a young individual who's maybe showing, who's maybe not able to focus at school. They're not necessarily showing like antisocial behaviour. They're just kind of a wee bit lost, and we would basically take this individual out like one time a week to go and do stuff. And I did it for like maybe 2-3 weeks, but I just struggled with it. Like I kind of, I found it quite difficult to think of things to do and kind of spark conversations, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad not being able to continue with it, because it was something, that was really good to do. But I don't think it was the right time for me to try and do that.
Yeah, and I guess that's something you have to think about, if it's the right time or the right thing for you. And equally, someone else might really enjoy doing that. So.
Yeah, no, I think there was other people on the programme who were like, really into it. I think I just kind of was too busy with other things. I think that's maybe what it was as well. So, but no, I think it's great. And like Freewheel North, how did you hear about the volunteering at Freewheel North?
I heard it from my partner. So I just moved back to Glasgow and looking to get involved locally and meet new people. And I'd really enjoyed the work we were doing at the Camden Society in London. So I was looking for something similar.
Yep.
And he mentioned Freewheel North. And actually, I hadn't heard of Freewheel North before. So I just came down to the track to see what was going on and had a chat with Carol and got started almost straight away and really enjoyed it. Yeah. I think, And another thing I was looking for is to be outdoors. That was really important as well.
Are you quite an outdoorsy person?
Yes and no, but particularly at the moment, it's been a bit of a godsend when you're working from home, and to get out every Sunday and be outside and be around people and seeing people enjoying the track. It's
like gold dust at the moment, isn't it? That environment. It's very difficult to kind of do that and do that well. So the volunteering here as well. Like I think I remember chatting to someone saying that they've got a list of people looking to volunteer here. It's really popular with people, and I think that's testament as well. And again, excuse me, the volunteering, the variety of people doing the volunteering is the same as the people working here as well.
Yeah,
like there's all sorts of people, different ages, different backgrounds who are involved in it too. It's just I don't think I've ever really seen something that's so kind of universally received.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like everyone enjoys a bike.
Yeah, and it's funny because families come for the kids, but then it's sometimes, quite often, it's the parents that enjoy it the most, and they don't think they're going to get on a bike when they come, and then they do.
Yeah.
And then they come back for more.
You say that, and that exact same. You must have seen this countless times. I witnessed it firsthand a couple of days ago when we were taking some photographs, and there was a wee boy who was in a go-kart, and his mum, I don't think she'd been on a bike for like years.
Yeah.
And so she got on a bike, and she was like absolutely loving it, like a child. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that kind of like, I think just like everyone strips away and you just kind of like, you really have a moment on it.
It's really nice to see that.
It is, yeah. And she was just like, I think she was just kind of in disbelief that she was doing it. She couldn't quite believe it. But being able to kind of just like pull out of somebody with something so simple as well. It's not complicated, do you know what I mean? So I saw that, and that was really good. But again, back to the thing you touched on there regarding how kind of one person learning to do that kind of bleeds off into the whole family. I think kind of like there was an example that I looked into a few weeks ago, and a young adult had learned to ride a bike, And because of that, then the entire family were able to go out on bike rides.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that and leave someone behind. But it basically encouraged, it just had that knock-on effect where like everybody in the family either, learned how to ride a bike as well or got a bike.
Yeah.
And then they had this then amazing activity they got involved in.
And they might not have done that if they hadn't come down here and tried out the track.
That's it. It's just like it's the start. It's really the start of something amazing for a lot of people and a lot of groups of people. So it's really good. How's your job going?
Yeah, it's good. I'm lucky to work in something I'm really interested in and really enjoy. And it's quite social just in its own nature. Working with various different community groups and local businesses and the team itself.
Sure.
So I can't complain really, and I've been lucky to keep working throughout lockdown and things like that. But having said that, doing everything through video calls is quite tiring, and you get a bit fed up of it, especially when you're used to meeting people in person and speaking face to face.
Totally. What's the is cycling a part of what you do at your work? Is it involved in any way?
It's not specifically a part, because it's really focused on the community renewable energy aspect of things. But I'm a development officer, so we're the kind of first point of call between the community groups and their projects. So we would signpost to lots of different other services for them.
Okay.
So, for example, the Climate Challenge Fund might be able to fund something to do with cycling. It's a bit wider around the climate agenda. So, yeah, a bit, not really, not directly, but it's something I'm interested in. So if I have a group that's into cycling, I'll chat to them about it and see if I know how I can help them.
And maybe, like you say, it might not be directly connected to cycling, but in the grand scheme of things, it's part of the same story. Isn't it?
Well, I'm interested in sustainability and definitely active transport, and it's another reason for volunteering here. And as you were talking about, encouraging people to get into cycling, and my hope is people will use it as their first kind of mode of transport after trying it out, or be encouraged to use it more instead of using the car or the train or the bus.
Totally. I know I've physically noticed my body slowly decline over the last 12 months because I have not been. No, everyone else has kind of decided to get on their bikes, but I was previously cycling to work. Before this happened, and I don't work there anymore. And so I was cycling like every day, and it's incredible. It's just the difference it makes.
Yeah. When I was in London, I was cycling from the southwest to the northwest, and it was a big distance every day.
How long did that take you?
I think it took around 40 minutes each way.
Right, okay.
And then the job involved cycling between places as well. So after that, when I moved here and I was just driving to Ayr for work, I noticed a huge difference without that daily cycle.
Totally. And it's funny because like the thing about cycling as part of your job or you commute to your work is like it's kind of like it's like a bonus. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I need to get to work, but I'm also getting incredibly fit in the process. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're putting time aside to go to the gym just purely to focus on your health. It's like you're combining it with getting to work.
Which is what I really like. I don't really like going to the gym. I like cycling to get for me to be
definitely. I don't think I'd have a great deal. I think I've got a couple of children, and I think if I had a spare hour, I'd probably spend it sitting down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As opposed to kind of going to the gym. I know a lot of people
you
are
don't
different.
need to go to the gym.
I know, thanks, cheers. But I did get a new bike as well. I say a new bike, my friend gifted it to me. It's like a wee 3-gear vintage number. And it's fine. So I'm trying to get in the habit of getting on it again. But I must confess, kind of like when I've got to be somewhere, I will just jump in the car, which is really bad. But I have been cycling back and forth to the green a few times, and it's great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of like I remember when I began cycling, and I wasn't doing it I didn't have it in the front of mind. I was like, this is for health benefit. I was like, I just need to get to work. And it's quicker than any other mode of transport. It's cheaper as well, which are obviously bonuses. And then like 4 months in, my wife was like, you're looking pretty cut. She didn't say that exactly, but she, because you don't really notice it yourself.
Yeah, you're thinking, I'm not doing anything different. No, wait, I am.
Yeah, exactly. So, over time, kind of like you're really benefiting. And obviously, with the physical benefits comes the health benefits. Do you know what I mean? It's all part of the parcel.
Yeah.
So, over something which, again, is fundamentally really simple. Do you know what I mean? It's something that you can do without even thinking you're doing it, like traveling, going to work. So, I really like that. But yeah, I need to get more back into that. How's the volunteering going here anyway?
Yeah,
all good?
It's brilliant. I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah, I just look forward to, well, we haven't been able to do it until now, since before Christmas.
Yep.
So been about a 3-month period of not having it. So keeping in touch with everyone online, but it's just great to come down and see the team. I missed Habiba and John and Lewis and Carol, just the regular people you're used to seeing on Sundays.
Totally. I know for me as well, kind of like when I started here, I hadn't been really doing anything, and then suddenly to be in a position where you have a job where you need to physically go somewhere and physically see and talk to people. Obviously, social distance, but being able to do that was like, it was wonderful. It was strange though at the same time.
Yeah, definitely strange.
I'm just like, this is really odd, but it's great. And new people as well, and talking about projects and campaigns and interesting things. There was things to talk about and things to find out about each other. And I think kind of like normally before this, you would go out and do that automatically. You'd bump into someone, you know what I mean? You chat, things in common, and go your separate ways. So I think being able to kind of find out, and I think ultimately kind of just like pick people's brains on stuff, like we're kind of doing just now.
Yeah,
is something that has been quite difficult to do, but hopefully that'll be coming to an end soon.
I know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So in terms of volunteering, what do you get out of it? What do you feel is the main benefit for yourself from volunteering?
From this one in particular, or
in general, if you want, but if you want to specify
maybe,
Free Will North, they go for that.
Free Will North, I think it's seeing all the different people from all different backgrounds coming down to the track and getting on a bike, whether they do that regularly or not, and just seeing the enjoyment on their faces. Yeah. And then the interaction between the staff and the volunteers and the people on the track as well, and the encouragement that's given. It's just a really positive environment to be around. So I think everyone gets a lot out of it, the staff and the volunteers and the service users. Definitely.
And you're going to keep it going?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Any advice for anyone out there who is possibly thinking about volunteering and isn't too sure?
Yeah, I'd say have a think about what might suit you. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying before, there might be things that you're not interested in and it might not be for you. So maybe have a think about what you're interested in, what kind of time you could contribute. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be much.
Yep.
And matching those things up, and then just give it a go and see.
Nice one. Gemma, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah,
thanks for coming in. How's the rest of your day looking?
I think it's such a beautiful day. I'm going to try and stay outside as long as I can.
Do it.
Habiba's coming here later.
She is.
So we're going to get some lunch at the cafe with her, I think, and take it from there.
Magic. Listen, thanks again. It's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, you too.
No bother. Okay, everybody, that's another podcast down. We'll have another one coming out soon. In the meantime, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.